It is an honor and a privilege to be here with you, Deena. Thank you. Meeting you has definitely changed my life for the better, and I'm very grateful for that.
I love what you're doing. I love the platform. I'm a fan of your social media, and I think you're doing really important work around many things, right? I mean, around domestic abuse, divorce, life changes, and even touching on stories of recovery.
But thank you, Dana. I think you do an amazing job from what I've seen, and I've watched a few of your podcasts, and I've done a lot of podcasts and that, and you let people just talk. It flows out of them.
Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Deena Kordt. I'm also the publisher of Divorce Magazine Canada and Life Changes magazines. I also host online support groups, divorce support groups. You can find all of those links in the show notes. And we meet every 2 weeks. So come and join our community. You're going to be able to ask questions from the experts. You can meet other experts if you are someone who is a service provider or a professional looking for a community of not only ideal clients, but ideal referral partners. Now, you are listening to the top divorce podcast in Canada, and the publications are also very high ranking in the world. So literally in the top 5, 7, top 10 consistently. So people are finding these resources. They are resources that are credible and you can trust them. So I'm really impressed with the support that is out there, and you aren't alone. Like, reach out. Find ways to get the answers you need so that you don't have to fear the unknown. There is help. People care, and we're here to help you. Now, one of those areas that is probably one of the biggest ones that is scary is finances. Don't be afraid of your finances. Now, especially women who traditionally don't always have any involvement with their family finances, and then they're faced with a divorce, and it's terrifying. What will happen to me? Will I be okay? And my guest today, Francesca Ray, is someone who's been down that road. Her husband's affair was a huge wake-up call for her around her finances, life in general, but her finances especially. And so she did something about it. She is now offering help to women with their financial literacy, with understanding how to deal with those finances that can be super scary. And I hope you're listening to this on the day of the release, because tomorrow, May 28th, she is offering a free masterclass online, easy to attend. There's no cost involved. So that link is in the show notes. And I really encourage you to connect with her and get this information, get this help so that you are empowered and you feel less fear, hopefully no fear around your finances. Let's get into this conversation with her now. Welcome to the show, Francesca, and welcome back, listeners. I really think you're going to find what Francesca has to say today encouraging, because she is going to talk to us about that big, scary monster finance and our money. And, you know, there is a way to deal with this and get through it without it having to be as painful as we anticipate. And sometimes that fear is bigger than what reality turns out to be. So welcome to the show, Francesca. And I want to call you Frankie because we've had some email correspondence and we've met before here on Zoom, and it's just like, yeah, does anybody call you Frankie?
Only one person ever did.
Ah. Okay, well, we will call you Francesca today. So welcome to the show. And
Thank you.
It's actually kind of fun that you talk about finances. So you're kind of like the finance Francesca. And if people can remember you that way.
I love it.
So please share with us who you are, your why behind what you do, and what do you do?
Well, thank you so very much for allowing me to be on your show today. I love how I just took the leap of faith and sent you the note, and here we are. So I'm super excited to share my story and my journey. I am a financial advisor for the last 20 years, so I'm super happy to be celebrating that journey. But the other thing that I've been celebrating and talking to people about is my financial awakening after my husband's affair and divorce. And that I think is the reason why we're here today. And so 4 years ago, I separated from my husband and I have taken a journey to heal myself. And in that healing, I realized there was a lot more to money than just dollars and cents. And you might be saying, well, geez, you're a financial advisor. Don't you know everything? Well, I don't. I mean, not everybody does, but it's more than just dollars and cents. I got into working with mindset coaches, which led me to know that money is more than just the dollars and cents. It's the mindset and how you think about yourself, the beliefs you have about yourself, and the stories we tell ourselves, especially around money. And so that was one of the big ahas I took out of my healing journey, is like, wow, I had some stories about money, and I want to encourage women, as you said, to not let this be scary, because um, we do need to take control of our finances. As women, if that's the majority of your listeners, we just tend to let our partner do it, and we take care of everything else. But I want women to be aware that it's probably not the best strategy to take.
I like that you mentioned this because energy is money. So, sorry, money is energy. And sometimes we forget about that because it is something that we will often feel runs our lives. It dictates our choices. It can be a barrier to things if there isn't enough of it or we don't know how to use it. And it's interesting that you bring up this mindset part, because I was on a call this morning with my own personal coach and talked about this money and how, she said, why don't you do some journaling around this? And so I want to throw this out there for people is, what are my feelings around money? What does it feel like to make money, or to ask if you need money, or whether you're selling a service, or, there's so many ways to frame this and explore. So it's interesting that now you bring up how important this is, that it doesn't become something that is out of our control. It's something that we can create a different type of relationship with, depending on our mindset.
Absolutely. And it is in our control. I think we've had it backwards for a very long time. And, one stat that always sticks out to me was, somebody told me it wasn't until 1974 that a woman could get a mortgage or a loan or a credit card on their own, regardless of marital status. So 1974, I was 3. So our mothers, if you're that age generation, had that experience. They couldn't be independent on their own. They had to have somebody there with them. And so that's what we've learned. And I think we're in a different era and generation where we can take control. We just need to change that story that we tell ourselves. There was just so much in what you had to say, like definitely journal on it. I think that's so important, to know, why am I afraid of money? Why don't I want to look at my bank account? Why am I not taking responsibility for my spending habits and taking control of paying down debt, or whatever it is that they're experiencing? And open your eyes and your mind to what's really happening. And that also happened to me on this journey. Was, I was a single mom in Toronto. I make a good living, and I was spending my money to make my children love me. And I had no idea I was really doing that until I started working with someone for, it's called Profit First, and looking at my own way of looking at my money. And I was like, holy geez, like this was my aha as well. And if, again, I'm a financial advisor and I was looking at money differently, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that do as well. So that's kind of my why now, is making sure I help women, especially, to look at their mindset, also the strategies of what they're doing currently with their money, and encouraging financial literacy as a bigger package and story.
I like that that's your approach, because and I want to address the audience. So I do slightly have more women than men listening. And I think that traditionally, like you mentioned, women have had to be, they were even, you addressed a letter, Mrs. John Smith. You didn't even have your own identity, let alone when you walked into a bank. So it is very important. This is so ingrained. We've been raised in this certain culture. So it's very important for women. And on the flip side, the men are seeing, divorce and separation from a different financial filter, because it's terrifying to think, we were just maybe making it before we were divorced. How am I going to support the kids? Or how am I going to find, if the man's going to leave the family home and find their own place to live? Or, like, what kind of impact is this going to be on them? And again, that's a cultural thing, because it's like, oh, are you going to pay? Or, oh, this is going to be painful for you. You're never going to recover from this. And so I think both sides of that equation are very important to address the fears that are there, but also around mindset from both sides. Because if they can enter this with a different mindset and a different understanding and less fear, that's going to decrease the conflict, the level of conflict and the level of fight and war that this is, because it's seen through a different lens.
Absolutely. And I did forget to mention, like, it can also be the man of the couple that isn't taking control of the finances. And that was my story, where I have the knowledge, and my ex was just like, yeah, you take care of it. And then, it's a big impact for him once that separation happened. So, I encourage the men that are listening to also be part of the story, be part of the conversation. So both people, if you are currently together, because there is a lot of couples that are not communicating about money. One exercise could be download my Your Mind Your Money workbook if you are a couple, and you each do the workbook together, and then come together and share your own story around money, and maybe something will come out of that as to why one person is maybe the spender of the couple and the other is the saver, right? And that's a whole loaded conversation, but just start the conversation, and hopefully be able to see how the other person reacts or responds, or why they do things, and take responsibility. That's a big one that we are forgetting, I think, as a society. That's a whole nother conversation. But just take responsibility for your actions and what you're doing, and understand that, you know what, that's the past. Let me move forward and make changes for the better.
And that's how it was up until now. That was then, this is now. Just that whole switch, that it's okay to let go of how you'd been doing it in the past, or how you viewed it in the past, and move beyond that. You mentioned what you found awakened you to some differences. So can you take us back 4 years to, that difficult time, and what you learned from that in your own personal life?
Well, there's a few that I've already mentioned that I had started spending to make my children love me. So I realized, yeah, that conversation and those stories had to stop. Um, but that was out of the situation that I was in. Another thing was the fact that my ex did not take part in any of the finances or care to. And I had a different lens at the time, and came at more of an angry situation rather than a more comforting and conversational situation. So I really want to encourage that with couples. I think even just a bigger one is belief in myself. Um, Belief in that money is energy. I didn't know that. It's sort of funny that you had said that we know that, but I didn't even know that money was energy. That sort of confused me. I'm like, what does that mean? And I'm really leaning into that and understanding that money is everywhere. And when we think negatively towards money, or we avoid it, or feel ashamed or worry, it's going to stop the flow of money. And so it's working through that. That's been my 4 year journey. Will continue to be my journey. And I hope there is some inspiration coming out of this for other people to take control and learn more about that piece.
Thank you for sharing. Yeah, thank you for sharing that, Francesca, because I think we do again, just get trapped in those very limiting beliefs that there's not enough, or you've always been fighting to get enough, and just it's a struggle and it's a worry. And we inadvertently then actually repel, all that abundance that is available. So now what you do is you help people through this. And in what ways do you help them? You've had some events, you've got some more coming up. Can you tell us more about those?
Yes, so I came up with a money program that I launched back in November called Rise Up, Live Up. It's a new day, it's a new dawn. And for me and for you, that, as I said before, money is more than just dollars and cents. So my money program is an audio program that you can take anywhere, anytime, any place, and it's yours for life. I have featured a number of coaches that I've worked with over the last 4 years talking about various topics. So, belief in yourself, how to listen to your intuition, what do we need to consider when we talk about our paradigms, and creating boundaries around people and money, and even within ourselves, to be successful. And then the other part of the program is me talking about different areas of finances. So cash flow and retirement, all those boring things that people, think about, but at least I give you some tips throughout that whole series on where to go, how to get started, and what to do. And so you can constantly re-listen to the episodes, because repetition is key with anything and learning. And so that's one area. The masterclass just shares a bit more about money intelligence. So I talked about the three areas: mindset, strategy, and financial literacy. And then the workbooks, I also have a few on my website. Your Mind, Your Money workbook, I talked about for couples, maybe to do that, or even on your own. And I also have some tips called 20 Smart Money Moves. And they're just little snippets of things to think about or consider. And again, it's in a audio workbook, which is a kind of cool thing.
Oh, fun. So they get
Yeah.
to hear you walk them through it.
Yeah, little snippets. And so everything, you can find that starting with francescaray.com. And that's where you can find me.
Amazing. So don't panic if you're in the shower or driving or wherever you're listening to this podcast. You can just find those links in the show notes. It's going to be really easy to find. And you have every month, or in the next couple of months, you've got some events that people can
Right.
hop into.
Yes. So I am going to host my masterclass called Money Love Affair. And that will be for Tuesday, April. We're in May now. So Tuesday, May 28th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that's coming up. So again, if you're able to get to francescaray.com, events and whatnot will be posted there
Okay,
throughout the year. Lots of stuff happening in the
perfect.
fall as well.
Yeah, this is great. And, I think it's so helpful that people can find various ways to interact with this. If they learn easier by writing, reading, listening, however that is, there's a variety of ways, or show up live, even better. And then if you've done some of this work before, or you're feeling inspired to do it after, then there are ways. So I find that knowledge and information can help dispel fear. It doesn't matter if it's around money or whatever it is. It's an unknown that we sometimes have built up in our heads to be far worse than what it turns out to be, and feeling empowered. So if you just keep telling yourself, I'm terrible with money and I don't understand money, and okay, maybe up until now, that's how you felt, but don't resist learning. And so here are some amazing resources. Grab these, give them a try, and feel empowered instead of fearful and unable to get beyond this wall that you've created for yourself. And it is possible to understand these things. And maybe math isn't your favorite thing. That doesn't mean money has to be scary. So
Exactly.
that's some things I've heard back from people. Like, money isn't my thing. Math isn't
Oh,
a favorite thing, but we need to exist with it. We need to have a healthy relationship with it and understand that it flows. It's a matter of, it's going to flow in, flow out you know, as much as we're told there isn't enough, there's enough for everybody if we can
Yes.
just, be smart with it. So
Yeah.
thank you. Go
That
ahead.
was sort of one thing I was going to say is like, I lived a life of, you have to work hard. You have to work hard to earn money. And I did. I'd work hard. And then going through this journey, I realized that was just a story my father always told me because he came from a different country. He had nothing when he came here. He had to work hard. And I so appreciate everything he's given us. But I don't have to work hard. And so I really just, as a entrepreneur and somebody who's a go-getter, I have to slow down with what I was doing and just refocus on what I really wanted in my life. And I hope this is something that, anybody can take with them. It's like, just sit, like you said, think or journal or listen to what is it that you really want? What's that little voice saying to you? Is it a new job? Is it a new career? Is it I have to leave my spouse or not leave my spouse or, go travel? I went to Bali and that was like on my vision board for years. And I finally got to do that. And people kept saying, "Oh, I wish I could have done that." I'm like, "But you can." And so just sit with what is that you want and just, try and slow everything down to really hear what you need to do. And like you said, money fuels everything that you want. So can't have a bad relationship with it because it only gets us to where we want to go. So just taking the time and slowing down is so key to all of this as well.
That's great. Do you have any go-to advice that you offer to people if you had an opportunity to just share something with the world? What would be your I know there's probably so much, especially with the work you're doing and especially around mindset, but what's kind of your go-to?
I would say that life is happening for you, not to you. And that really opened my eyes to say, the world doesn't want to give me bad things. The world wants me to give me everything that I want. And if there is something that's going to, take me off my railroad track, what is it that I can learn and grow from that experience? That's another thing I've been looking at. It's like not a negative thing, it's a positive thing. So how can I make this positive? So life is happening for us, not to us.
And that already feels more abundant. It feels generous, it feels loving and empowering. Thank you for sharing that, Francesca. Please be sure and check out the show notes for all the links to the resources that she has mentioned. And be sure and think about attending some of these live events because that can really give you some support in an area that maybe you're a little afraid to face. Thank you for being here, Francesca. And we look forward to having you back again.
Amazing. Thank you so much for your time and have a great day.
You as well. I hope you found that conversation insightful, encouraging, and also a reminder to all of us that what we see isn't always as it appears. People are going through a lot of things in their lives, and we would want that compassion shared to us. And that is something that we can offer to others without judgment. Instead, be curious and reach out, reach in, figure out a way that you can make someone's day a little better. And it might just start with a smile. I thank you very much for spending your time with me here today and encourage you to please subscribe to the podcast, follow us on social media, check out our events. We have lots of ways that we can help you or someone that you love. Share this with a friend if there's someone that you know could benefit from this. And hey, keep smiling that beautiful smile because the world really does need your sunshine. It means a lot that you spend this time with us and meet our experts and professionals who can help you through whatever life changes you're facing. Please refer to our terms of service available on our website, lifechangesmag.com. The link is in the show notes. Our disclaimer: Divorce Magazine Canada, Life Changes Magazine and channel, and divorce resource groups are intended to educate and provide quality, credible resource information. The contents should not be used as factual until consultation with the appropriate professionals for any guidance. Divorce Magazine Canada, Life Changes Magazine, and Life Changes channel, as well as the divorce resource groups, do not constitute endorsements for, nor liability for any claims made in the presenting of this information.